I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-macabre, it's time for the only news that matters on Kiss Wednesday. And Ace Frehley was on Eddie Trunk today in response to Paul's comments about him and Peter on Howard Stern's interview. Says he demands a public apology within 7 days or he'll go back on Trunk in a week and share a bunch of dirt on Gene and Paul. Wow. That's nuts, man. I mean, what other bands are like this? It's just insane. By the way, this was written by Chris Sinzak from Decibel Geek. Awesome podcast. And he took little notes, and I'm reading the notes he wrote. So check out Decibel Geek. All right, so Ace then says he has a 120-page manuscript in a safe with all the dirt he has on Paul and Gene, and if something happens to him, has instructed his attorneys to release the whole thing to the media. Oh my Lord. This is really fresh. I'm reading this and I just can't believe this. Oh my God. Something's got to happen, man. Ace can't release this shit. Paul and Gene's going to have to put a stop to it. I'm sure they're scrambling now. All right. He also outed Gene and Paul for wearing wigs and admits he wears one too. And yeah, that's very obvious. And I got to say, out of all of them, Ace chose the best wig. I think his wig is better than Gene and Paul's. All right. He also says that Gene has multiple lawsuits against him from several women over the years for sexual assault. Why? Man, he must be really pissed to be saying all this. This is nuts. All right, next. He says he hasn't heard a word from Kiss about an offer to be at the final shows and says it would take a huge chunk of money for him to do it. Yep, ain't gonna happen. Then he says that Vinnie Vincent was nice to him in Nashville, but he has heard several weird things about him. Yeah, haven't we all? Then he brought up a lawsuit against Kiss for their hairdresser that was filed recently and said that Gene refuses to pay the guy. Wait. Did I read that right? The hairdresser? Isn't he wearing a wig? All right, next. Says Gene will have lots of explaining to do when he gets to the pearly gates, but that Gene doesn't exist because Gene's an atheist. Says he's been sober 17 years in September. That's awesome if it's true. I hope it's true. Says the new album is basically finished and mixing should be done by the end of April. He's been writing songs with Tommy Denaner and Steve Brown from Trickster. Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. Ouch. Well, there you go. Ace goes on Eddie Trunk and he pretty much calls out Gene and Paul, and in a way he's kind of blackmailing them, right? Apologize or I'm releasing all this dirt on you two. Oh man, this is interesting. Let's see where this goes. Because if Gene and Paul don't do nothing, this time next week we'll hear all this dirt. Boy, Kiss and drama. So yeah, Ace is threatening Gene and Paul Stanley of Kiss. Thank you for watching, everybody, and please subscribe to my channel and click that little notification bell and give this video a like. It's good for the algorithm. And if you like to donate, I got a PayPal in the description below. So stay frosty, listen to Black Sabbath, and schmack-a-macabre.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
Before we get canceled, check out the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast with me and Wattzilla. We are the Podcast Kings. Link to the podcast is in the description below, and also a link to the YouTube page. Check out older episodes with visuals. And very soon, either Ian and I will learn how to go on YouTube Live. Might be soon. So check out the greatest podcast ever according to science.com. It's also God's favorite podcast and Satan's favorite podcast as well. So check out the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast before we get canceled.